What's up, everybody? This is another episode. This is episode number deuce. We're going to jump right into it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff like that. This is the Reuben Show. Tell me what you think about the first episode if you watched it. Anyways, subject for today, first we're going to talk about is I want to talk about slap boxing. I was having a conversation with my buddy and everybody saw this video that was circulating around the internet. It was this dude that got slapped so hard. It looked like he got knocked into like oblivion. He looked like he became potato chips. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. So anyways, so I started thinking, right? So it's like the success of this slap boxing thing by Dana White of the UFC, president of the UFC, he is the success of slap boxing is going to be the downfall of slap boxing. And hear me out. It's entertaining, right? Kind of. Not really, but kind of. I guess. Now, the crazy part of this fight, of this thing, is like you have, like UFC, boxing, you have all these other things where you can hit people aside from like your brain, where like the most vulnerable part of your body is. This is only getting hit in your face, right? But the reason why, hear me out on the downfall, right? The reason why the downfall happens is because of the fact that as the sport becomes more popular and more people watch it and there's more money to be made, and there will be, because of more money, there's going to be better, more athletic people getting in on this. Because at the beginning, you saw people that were in shape. You saw people that really didn't have good technique. You saw all these dynamics, right? And so now you're starting to see people that are literally, the caliber of athlete is going up. It's going up. No holds barred. No, I mean, it just keeps going up. Keeps going up. Keep going up. It's going to get to the point where somebody's head is going to literally be taken off. Literally be taken off. I mean, there's no if, and, or buts about it. Because of the success of it, you're going to start attracting people that are so savage with it that it's going to be unwatchable. That guy that got hit, it was almost unwatchable. When you look at it, I mean, it was cringy. Not in a bad way or anything like that, but I mean, it's cringy in the sense that the money is what's going to make it be worse, because you're going to get people that are going to be better and better and better and better and better. And the more money, it's just going to get unwatchable. When it's a novelty, when it's people that are really not that good at it, when there's not really that much practice, when you just show up, when you're just like, let's grab a couple beers and let's go do the slap box contest. That's different than what we're starting to see now. And that's what's going to be the downfall. It's just going to be unwatchable. You're just not going to be able to watch it because it's just going to be like too outrageous. We're going to literally see somebody die on slap boxing. So anyways, that was my thoughts about it. When I saw it, I was having a conversation with my buddy, and we were just having this talk about the fact that it's literally out of control. Out of control. You look at it and you look at the strength of it. It's, I don't know. I just see it I see it losing its popularity as the people get better because there's more money, because now you have sponsors. That's what you have. You don't have it and you don't see that in any other sports. Let's say football. It's a real, dangerous sport. It's gotten safer with more money there. So it's the opposite. UFC, safer when there's more money being thrown at it. Slap boxing is more dangerous when you throw more money at it. What do you think about that? You think I'm wrong? You think I'm off base? Somebody show this to Dana White. See if he'll comment on this, on what his thoughts are on slap boxing. Because if you look at his expression, he was like he winced. So slap boxing, it's gone. It's done. It's going to get more popular. Some dude's going to literally break somebody's neck, and then they're not going to show it anymore. It's going to be too, you talk about, nobody's really interested in watching that, except the lunatics. But I mean, those guys don't buy pay-per-views anyway. So anyways, there's that, right? So I was looking at that observation in sports, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to watch a whole I'm not a real huge fan of it because it's just not interesting to me because I already consume enough sports. You can't give me another sport. There's already too many. You can't follow all of them. I mean, there's stories and interesting things in football, baseball, basketball. I mean, it just never ends. We have free agency in baseball, and and that's the next. This is probably going to be all sports. This podcast is going to be all sports. So if you're not interested in sports, tune out for sure. I get it. I get it. Beat it. So this is going to be about sports. So the next subject, right? The next topic. So what are your thoughts on all that, right? Anyways, by the way, the reason why this podcast is so late in the day, which it doesn't matter to you because you're going to watch it whenever you want, because it's on demand on everything. Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, it's on everything, literally everything. And we're filming this at 10 o'clock at night. So it's going to be, we only go 30 minutes. We go 30 minutes and we got to do editing for about another hour. So I'll get it out about 11:30. So we did it every day. We got today's the 2nd of December, day number 2 of the podcast where it's going to be in the book. So anyways, because today I had a fun time. I had one of the best hamburgers I ever had, cheeseburgers rather, like Wagyu, Oshaki, whatever. And I helped at a farm. It was fun. I'm super tired. I'm tired. Yeah. Physical work. It was a good time. You got out there. I learned some stuff. That tomorrow's episode, which I'm probably going to shoot earlier, will have all that detail in there. I'm going to talk about the whole thing, my experience. I'm not going to go too crazy about it, but that's kind of, it was, I've never seen a cow that close. Not behind a gate. Yeah. I never seen them get aggressive or wild. Not behind a gate. I've never seen a horse that close. And I've never stepped on cow shit so much. Just saying. Tomorrow's episode will have that. But anyways, let's finish talking about this right about sports. So let's talk about free agency. Let's talk about this Ohtani guy from the Anaheim Angels. Now, he's going to want all this money. He's going to want to get paid $1 bazillion because he's a tremendous pitcher and batter. He's the complete package, right? But I don't know that he's worth that much money. You're going to have to frame that in a weird way because I rather have him play one position, pitcher or batter, and you can play anywhere in the outfield or be a designated hitter. I don't care about that. But I think that is stretching him too thin. He's amazing both ways. But the problem with Ohtani, here's the problem with Ohtani, is you build a good team and blah, blah, this and that, and he gets hurt. Now there's 2 positions, not one, but 2 positions you have to cover. At his caliber of a player, you cannot do that. And he did get hurt for the Anaheim Angels, which tells me that maybe it's time for him just to play one position. So even if you paid him $57,000 billion, $11 billion a month or a year, or whatever it is, a 15-year contract, the problem is I guarantee you he's not going to play every single position. The only person that's kind of made it through where they played not both positions, but they played, like if you look at a parallel, like 2 sports, like baseball, like you got, and just go with me. I know this is a bit of a stretch. You got Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson. They played multiple things, right? So there was more activity. There was more than just a regular player. And then you have Ohtani. And then you have even recently Travis Hunter, this kid, right? And for University of Colorado, Deion Sanders, and that's going to be the last story too. I'm going to talk about that. That's an interesting story there too, and it's not what you think it is. It is not what you think it is, so hang tight. We're only in it for 10 minutes, and we're already on the second story, so we might have 4 sports stories. I got a bunch of them lined up. They just pop up all the time. We haven't even touched on hockey. I have to dig into hockey about their contract, what happened with that. I don't know the details of it. I have to do research in it. And then there's basketball news. There's a bunch of basketball news. So anyways, so let's get back to on this Ohtani thing and this giant contract. He's a free agent. I think he's going to the Dodgers, but I don't think he's going to sign for as much money as you think he is going to sign for because it's too much of a liability. If you build a team around him, now you have 2 positions to worry about, and he's a good pitcher. Personally, I think he should just be a pitcher. Be a pitcher, and maybe he can do pitching, or I don't know. I just don't think his value is in playing both sides of the ball, so to say. I think that he's going to start getting injured. He's not getting younger. Every year you get older, so you're naturally going to have injuries. And so this guy playing more, because see, when you're a pitcher, you play in the outfield, you know, the durability of his arm is going to start coming into question. So if you're going to pay this guy as a pitcher and a batter, are you doubling his salary? No. Let's say you 1.5 it and you pay him $60 million a year. So that's $40 million. I think you could spend your money elsewhere. He's going to probably get a ridiculous contract, but I don't think it's going to be worth it. I think they're going to lose out on that big time. I think it's going to be an issue. I think it's going to be a situation where it's going to be a huge gamble, and it's just going to be a drain on whatever franchise gets him, whether Anaheim re-signs him. And I think that's why he's going to free agency. I think that's why Anaheim didn't offer him an extension or a max deal or bigger deal, because of this fear that he's going to get hurt. And he was hurt, right? So when you get hurt, now you're losing. It's too many roster spots, man. One person, one roster spot. You're a pitcher. You're out of the rotation. You can deal with that. You can't pick up 2 free agents for some crazy money. You're going to tripling your budget. And in today's age, these teams that do spend money, they are budget conscious. They're a little bit, it's a little bit too much unknown. And for a general manager to risk his job, they're not risking their job to take a chance on that guy. And even though the Dodgers general manager is pretty secure in his position, and the Dodgers, by the way, have all these 100-win seasons, they haven't won the World Series, but they're still successful. Okay. And we talked about this before already. We talked about the Cowboys. I've made a video about this before where, you know, and so his value, Ohtani's value, is in making the decision to play one side. I think if he plays one side, I think he could get a 10-year deal or 8-year deal, at least an 8-year deal. That'll put him into, I think, his 40s or something like that. I think he's 38, 28 or 29 years old. I don't know the exact age. Don't quote me on that. But he's not a rookie. He's an accomplished player. He's good. He's not a bad player. I have nothing against him. But I just think that the enigma or the weirdness of the fact that he's a pitcher and he can hit a ton of home runs, I think that it's missed on this idea. I think it's a novelty, and I don't think it's worthy of a giant contract because there's too much risk involved there. And I think as his agent, it will be hard to frame that, right? Is he a draw? Yeah. Is he a draw for a country that loves baseball? Yes, too. So there's that aspect of it, right? That aspect of it is people will watch and fill the seats as all the major sports are going to streaming. Now all these players, because their contracts are ending, and so they're starting to have access to all these other markets. And so that being said, you have a person like Ohtani has the ability to attract all these new streaming subscribers. And so for him, he needs to play somewhere, and I don't know if that team specifically will benefit per se, right? It'll benefit because you'll have, you know, merchandise sales and so forth, but he already sells a bunch of merchandise, and so I think that if the Dodgers pick him up, he just needs to pick a side, right? Just pitch. Just pitch. Just pitch. So there's that baseball rant. So baseball, it's not even a season. See, this is the whole thing. I'm just talking about what I want to talk about. You want to talk about, like, I don't have to talk about, these are things that interest to me. These are things that pop in my head. These are stories. Like I said, this is going to be all sports. So if you don't like sports, then it's okay. I'm going to make an episode tomorrow, and we're going to talk about cowboying. We're going to talk about I was a ranch hand, kind of, right? I was talking about the story I was going to tell, but in reality, it was a tall tale. I was going to tell you a tall tale, and I'll tell you how it was going to be a tall tale. But it was. I had a really good time at this place, and kudos to my friends for letting me hang out and do some work. We physically got tired, and we had an amazing meal at the end. Probably the best hamburger I ever had in my life. And you see me? I'm a connoisseur of hamburgers. Yeah. I want to say it's above In-N-Out burgers. But anyways, I digress. So let's continue to talk about sports. I'm veering off again because I'm exhausted, and we're already 14 minutes in. Wow. So, okay, so one of the last things I want to talk about, and I wanted to make this kind of the half of the podcast, is I want to talk about this idea, the Deion Sanders effect, right? But specifically, let's touch on this idea. Let's touch on this concept or idea that, I don't know, can you guys hear me? I don't know why I think I'm 14 minutes in and I'm like, can you hear me? 15 minutes in. So anyways, Okay, Deion Sanders, the only reason why I bring him up in this scenario is because it was kind of in your face with it, right? And so you have the NIL players making all this money. His sons were making all this money. And kudos to them, right? It's all good, whatever. You're making millions of dollars, right? And so as a college athlete, the college system of the NIL money system is they forgot to talk about, or they forgot to deal with this idea of jealousy and resentment, because you have an offensive lineman. You have offensive linemen that have to block for this guy. You say, well, that's your job. You should do your job whether you're getting paid or not. Wrong. When your quarterback has, diamond watches, did they give back? Did he give back? Did Shedeur Sanders give back to his offensive line? And I don't think you should be forced to do that, okay? That's not what I'm saying there. I'm saying, did he give to his offensive line some of the riches for protecting him? Are they deserving of some of that? Because it's a team game. Football is a team game. It's built and designed that way. Now in the NFL, everybody gets a paycheck. Some get more or less, but everybody gets a paycheck, right? Even the practice squad, they make money. Not much, but they make money. And so did the offensive line, did the receivers that were making zero money, were they getting some of the money? Were they getting paid at all? Were the boosters paying them? Where was all the money going to Shedeur Sanders and these, because the Nebraska coach talked about this, that, top level quarterbacks are $1 to $6 million. How much are you paying those offensive line to block for you? And how much you want to bet that there's going to be resentment in the NIL system? You can't tell me that these people, these offensive linemen, whether they're mid-level, whatever, they're protecting and help making this quarterback, because it is a team. It's a team thing, right? Coaches make a ton of money. Some coaches make, the fiasco happened at Texas A&M, where what is it, like $70 million to not coach, to fire him? So all that money that you gave that coach to not play, you couldn't give any of that money to the offensive lineman? That's a question, right? Do you want to protect your investment? Let's say if you pay a quarterback that gets in the transfer portal, gets in the transfer portal. Let's do this and that. And I have a video tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the transfer portal and how that's changing things. But again, tomorrow's story is cowboying, transfer portal. I have some good ones right there. That might take up the whole podcast, but let's finish this thing with Shedeur Sanders. Now, he's just an example, right? There's players all over the country that are getting paid good money. There's a lot of them that are getting paid good money. And so the question is, are they dishing that out? And should that even be made public? And because of that, could there be potential for, cheating? Could that be motivation for cheating? Absolutely. Resentment, mistrust, that 100% will exist, because it's human nature. It's the human nature aspect of it. And people will resist playing fair with that, right? So that's kind of the weird thing about the whole deal. And so one of the things that's kind of interesting to me is that you don't hear anybody talking about this, because nobody wants to talk about this, because you want to talk about the player. And again, Shedeur Sanders is a clear and present example. If you follow anything in sports, if you don't know anything about sports, this doesn't mean anything to you. You don't even know what NIL means. You don't even know what all that stuff means. A transfer portal, you don't know what that means. But if you do understand it, then you can relate to the idea that that is kind of a dangerous kind of thing, because you have the have and have nots. And I get it. Shedeur Sanders is a generational player. He's going to be top pick. He's good. He's really good. I don't hate on him at all. But you have other players that, protect him. And so that's what you have, right? And so that's where you have that issue. So that's a crazy issue with that, with the NIL money. If you're making $5 million a year, rolling around in a Bentley, are you going to be giving some of your money to the other players? Can you even do that? I don't know. See, this is a great question. Can one player give another player money? NIL money. Can one player making $5 million a year because of endorsements, can he give another player money? Or does it have to strictly come through the school or through the program, at which case Does the player become a booster and donate money to the program that is allocated to a certain player? Right? Has a story surfaced yet of a player that is needing surgery from his mother or father or like something like that, and a NIL caliber player has given that money to help them? Has that story ever happened? Are we even talking about that? Now, obviously, that's going to happen. We can predict it. Like I just said it right now. I don't know if it's happened, but I'm going to probably search it, and I'll update you guys tomorrow. But anyways, that's kind of the idea with the whole deal, right? With the NIL money, it's kind of washy, and there's resistance to it, and one of the biggest proponents, the NIL money thing for Colorado University, their season, they went 4-8, right? 4-8, and then Alabama, Nick Saban at Alabama, Nick Saban was kind of like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Now, he just beat Georgia and is probably going to be ranked in the top 4, and he's making it into the playoffs. Now, Georgia's got beat by Alabama, and they've gotten knocked out. Because if Alabama is going to be the only one-loss team in college football playoffs, which is ridiculous that you even have the conference championship game is an extra game. Then you have a bowl game, which is pointless. And all these bowl games, there should be like a 12-team playoffs. It would be amazing. If you eliminated the conference championship games and you just had the bowl games, you had playoffs, a 12-team bracket, you would have a bunch of teams that make the playoffs. Well, no, you could have the conference championship game, but then after that, you go into a elimination thing. You can do it, 18. You could do a 16 team. You could go 3 weeks, and they could bring you all the way into January. The whole month of December's playoff time. That would be interesting to me. It would be interesting to see because there'll be sleepers. There'll be teams that got in at number 16 that maybe can get to the second or third round. But, you have, I think that would be pretty cool. Teams that are kind of getting in with strength of schedule and favoritism, you would be able to weed that out. 4 teams, I don't think it's enough to me. I don't think it's enough, and I think that when you look at the playoffs for college, there's so much weirdness to this idea of what's entertaining. And then here's another thing too, right? If you had a 16 team or let's say an 8-team playoff, right? Enough people go to college games that you would be able to sell out all those stadiums. Like if every single bowl game was part of a bracket, right? Because there's like 30 bowls, 60 teams or whatever it is, right? So let's say you had an 8-team playoff. And that's 3 rounds. 8, 4, 2, boom. That's the championship game. So then you have this idea where you have, 8 bowl games. There's so many more bowl games. You can even do 16, and that would be interesting. They just all turn into playoff bowl games. And then you can even do, what would be cool is you can have all the teams that make it into the playoffs, 16 teams, right? You can, you do home field advantage, all that stuff, best record, all that good stuff like that. So you could potentially have a top-ranked team, let's say a ranked number 1 team, let's say the top 2 ranked teams, if they both win out, that's 3 home games, and then the winner plays in a neutral site, a lot like the Super Bowl. I think there would be value to that, and I think that the NCAA is so slow to adopt that because of these backroom deals that are done, where it's not really in the best interest as a collective, the NCAA collective, because you would sell more tickets, you would get more viewership, you would get definitely more people watching these bowl games. I know sponsorships get more, but all that would go up if these smaller bowl games had meaning. 16 bowl games that had meaning, that'd be amazing. But they don't do it. They don't do it, and it's just, I think it waters down the championship run. The last 4 or 5 weeks of college football, it waters it down, and I don't know. I just don't see it being. I don't see the quality because the end of the game, the end of the season of it, it's kind of a little bit of letdown because if you're a fan of if you're not a fan of the top 4 teams, you literally tune out. And imagine if you can have 16 teams, you would still have a lot of the fans. 16 teams you would have crazy viewership for at least 3 or 4 more weeks. More people watch bowl games. You can make them a lot more impactful. You can call them what they are. They can still be the bowl game, but they can be, this is the round of 16 game. And you have, that would have started, that will start this Saturday coming up. So we just finished with Saturday. That will come out this Saturday, and it would just keep going. So that would be 8 games next week. Will be great, right? Nobody gets a rest. And then it'll be 4 teams next. Will be 2 games. And then the championship game. And that would end in January. You can, heck, you can do 16. What will be 16, 8, 4, 2. That would be 4 rounds. That'd be great. That would end you in January. And it already ends in January anyway. So you're really not stretching out the season. You're not competing with the Super Bowl. Although you will be competing a little bit with the playoffs for the NFL, but you would almost be done. You would almost be done with it. And if you eliminated the conference championship game, you would never compete because it would be it would be this week would be the first round of 16. Boom. But then again, the conference championship is for, there's only 5 or 6, and as the conferences dwindle, there was only 5 or 6 games on this weekend. So imagine if there was 8 games and they were all for the playoffs to advance to the next round. I don't like the conference championship game because that skews the playoffs so much. Look what happened to Alabama just beating Georgia. Georgia was beating everybody. Alabama came in at the very last minute. They dethroned Georgia. I wanted to see Georgia play the 16 team and then play the winner of the 2 and 8 team. Play the winner of or whatever whatever the bracket is. I wanted to see them keep winning and playing, and those would have been. And if you were, if you had home field advantage, then you get the home field advantage. I don't know. I think college football is missing the boat on a bunch of stuff. They're not thinking. It's a bunch of old people that are in there not thinking about the modern concept. Because imagine if you could stream all those games on your phone. The viewership, the ads, the sponsorships, it would skyrocket. And now the beautiful thing about streaming is people can watch those games all the time. You charge for a service, playoff service, where you can replay all the games. And then you can catch your own games, and then you put commercials in there, and you have sponsors and ads. And now that game that was shown once on Saturday that was live now has a little bit of life moving on, and it catches all the casual fans, and you move on, make a little money from that little package, 16 game package. You package it, you sell it, because usually college football's free on TV, and then you put it on the streaming service, and bada boom, bada beam, everybody's happy, and there's a ton of money to be made, and we would have more entertaining college football for the championship. So anyways, that being said, I'm gonna wrap all this up, but yeah, tomorrow the podcast will be a lot earlier, but I'm living life and I'm doing things. I had my first adventure while on vacation. Like I said, I went to a farm, a cattle ranch, or cow ranch? Cattle ranch. Yeah, and it was cool. Like I said, I never got that close to an animal, but that podcast would be for tomorrow. What did you think about this whole sports thing? I want to hear from you guys. I want to know. Let me know in the comments section. You agree, disagree? Come on. I want to hear your opinion of what I've said. Or not. Like and subscribe. Thank you.